Alrighty, we are live. Yes, that's right, live from my dining room in Chicago. Hey, everybody, how you doing? I'm James Ellis, the Employer Brand Nerd. Welcome to yet another Employer Brand Breakdown. Today, we are going to break down another biotech company, which is incredibly interesting, incredibly cool. They've done some really interesting things. I think I got the music sale. You got to taste the music. Okay, good. And why am I wearing headphones? What am I doing? I don't know what that's about. I'm so used to wearing headphones on these calls. So we're doing an employer brand breakdown. Why? Because we're trying to look at these employer brands the way candidates look at employer brands from the outside. They don't know all the sausage getting made. They don't know how it all gets put together on the inside. All they know is what they see on the outside, and that's all we're going to look at. So when we do this work, we're trying to look at these sites and these content as a candidate would to provide the maximum benefit of where is this employer brand working and where can we do some, where can we make some suggestions. The goal, as always, is to not be a jerk. Is to not make anybody feel bad or call out bad work. We're here assuming positive intent, as they say. We're going to focus on the stuff that's really good and make some suggestions on how things could be potentially better. All right? Sound good? Fantastic. Just so you know, if you're sick of biotech, next week we're doing an aviation company. Thank you, Amy Cressy, for suggesting that company. We'll talk about that Friday. But for now, let's look at generative biomedicine. I know, it's a cool name. So now I got to share my screen. I got to find out where it is. There it is. Share. All right, here we are. Okay. This is the corporate site, the corporate side of the Generate Biomedicines site. Okay, I'll admit the name of the company doesn't trip off the tongue so easily, but let's just start with the obvious. Damn, that's pretty. Damn, that's attractive. That's interesting. It's engaging. I'm going to point out a few things, and I don't know if you can see it, as a screen capture, but that floating thing that's moving around, one, it's reactive to my mouse. So if I move my mouse, I can make it do different things. It responds to that. Also, that shape is based on a series of colons, which is in the logo. I think you can see my mouse in that logo, Generate, Biomedicines. So here we have the beginning of a really interesting brand pattern. Remember, a brand really is just a pattern. The more you say something, the more you talk about that thing, the more people associate it with your brand. Scott Galloway talks about the power of a really strong brand is that the pattern is so strong, you can actually pull it out of its industry, stick that brand in another industry, and envision what that might be. For example, what would a Nike hotel look like? You know what? I can put together a pretty good picture of what that might look like, and I imagine you could too. Not because they've done hotels, we've never seen them do a hotel, but the Nike brand is really strong. We have associations with it. We could probably put together an Amazon hotel, right? It's all about, telling the Alexa robot to do a thing and having our needs met before we even realize we met them. And everything seems so easy. Maybe not the most stylish of designs, but certainly incredibly functional. That would be an Amazon hotel. Weak brands don't get to play that same game. If I think of the Honda hotel, I have trouble figuring out what that might look like or what that might be. So that's not quite the same strength of brand. So you can see here that strength of brand comes from patterns, and we'll see that as we go. So first off, lots of colon usage through this design. This design is so pretty. I'm assuming you can see that floating shape. It's just really slick. It's really nice. I love the fonts. I immediately thought this was Helvetica because I'm a Helvetica nerd, but then it's not, and we'll talk about that in a second. But here's some really tight copy. Look at how bold the black and white comes across. This is very, very stark and very direct. Remember, this is still their corporate site. We'll get to their career site in a second. But one of the added values of having a black and white site like this is that their science images, which you can see here, pop. Now, they're probably using fluorescence on cells to kind of identify what those cells are and how the proteins work and all that good stuff. And I'm not a scientist. Please don't ask me to explain it. But generally, if your site is blue or red or green, these images can get really, really muddy, right? They don't look as cool or as sexy. On a black and white palette, they pop. They're fantastic. So they're very interesting, very engaging. Now, I want to point out something. building the future of medicine together. That word together is functionally their brand. Okay. So aside from the visuals, that is where they're planting their flag. And we'll talk about what that means in a second. I just want to kind of show you. Again, nice, austere design, but that strong font usage, strong black and white looks great. So let's go to the career site. If I've done this right, yes, fantastic. Here, building the future of medicine together. Now, it's interesting, in the logo, they've got that sans serif Helvetica font, which isn't really Helvetica, but I'll talk about that in a second. But their copy is this serifed font, a little more human, right? Whereas the logo's a little clean, perhaps even sterile in some way, which, hey, it's biomedicine, of course, who wouldn't want that? Their content here is much more human. The serif fonts make it feel more involved and more engaging. Now, what's interesting about biotech is that so many companies stop at the first part of this headline, building the future of medicine. Most biotechs, most pharma, in fact, they build their entire brand around claims of innovation, i.e. we're building the future, we're making something new, we're making new drugs, we're doing this thing, we have a new approach, new. And we're solving patient problems. And in this case, the future of medicine, which means, of course, medicine saves people, positive patient outcomes, that sort of thing. Most brands stop there. Generate, or GB, as you'll see, is taking the next step properly. They're adding on. If every company talks about innovation and saving lives, what is the third flavor that makes them different? And their version is together, right? We are working together as a team. Join an exciting and involved team. Generate, we collaborate as equals in new ways to invent and innovate. Our diverse team, achieving things together will make us collectively unstoppable. Let's go. Together. They're really creating that pattern, that brand pattern. This isn't one genius. This is a collective group of smart people with what seemed to be a shared goal, doing good work. Could you go deeper? Yes, you could. But I think given the relative options of other companies and other biotechs and other pharmas, this is a strong, great place to be. Here, again, more of the we. We are audaciously ambitious. We are fiercely united. We are unapologetically scientific. We are relentlessly curious. We are intrinsically digital. Look, the actual mindsets, as they refer to them, are pretty common. I did a review of 60 different biotechs, and I saw the same kind of values, mindsets, beliefs, whatever, over and over and over again. So this is not unique per se. What is interesting is it is an opportunity to further the collective together brand by saying we focus on collective achievement. There's no failed experiments so long as we learn from them. You could have written all of this without leveraging that collective, without using that together mentality, and it would have read just fine. And in fact, I think most companies would. What you're seeing here is the difference between a topic and a story. The topic was, here are the 5 things we believe. The story is, how do I tweak the language such that it supports my broader brand identity? They could have said, this is a company who is audaciously ambitious. Same thing, but it lacks the we. It lacks that collection. It lacks that togetherness. And what happens in a brand, the more you reinforce, the more you talk about the core idea, the more credible it becomes, the more connected it becomes to your logo. Because that's the thing. We want to make sure we're not talking about the logo is sexy. It kind of is. We're not talking about how the website is sexy. It kind of is. What we're really excited about here is this isn't just somebody hiring a cool designer to make some pretty pictures. What they're also doing is understanding what makes them different and reinforcing them at every conceivable stage. Bravo. Doing a great job. Okay. Meet some people. These are some of the we's. Okay. I could have said, let's take it a step further. Let's talk to 2 people at a time. Let's do furthering the we. We're doing it collectively. We're doing it together. Not a huge missed opportunity, but certainly missed opportunity, right? They just say, hey, meet a profile. This is where the brand truly creates those roots, where you are surprised in the ways that they're showing that togetherness. They're showing that brand. This is when a brand really coalesces in someone's mind. They really get what this is about, when there are surprising ways in which it is expressed. We value being a healthy and motivation place to grow, so that's good. But again, could have been better. Okay, great pay employee stock program, competitive health benefits. Those are all fine. I'm not complaining about health benefits by any means, but could you have rewritten that to connect further to the we? We offer long and short-term disability to protect each other and protect ourselves. We have a retirement savings program so that we can make sure our future isn't safe. We, together. Finding ways to reinforce. They're already doing good work. I'm just finding ways you could have taken it to the next step. Okay, we'll skip the jobs. What we'll do now is I want to point out that this branding visual is not an accident. They hired a third-party design firm. And it turns out, and I did not realize this up until about 30 minutes ago, I know this company. I know the design company who did this work, and I know they do good work, and I happen to know someone who works there. Hey, Melinda, I know you're not watching, but how you doing? So it was interesting. This is what happens when the brand is not just a style guide. It is deeper than that. They're understanding what makes this company different and reinforcing that visually. So here's the word generate with a colon, and that shape is generative. Hey, how you doing? See how it's working, right? They're making these connections that you might not have seen. They're using a version that's very close to Helvetic. It's not quite, it's Messina. Really nice fontage. I love this one. It's generate and then like a bajillion colons and then biomedicine. The coffee mug that is just the semicolon or the colon. Really nice stuff. I've seen some GB stuff somewhere, but this is some really gorgeous work. This is what happens when it's not just the patina you slap on to make it pretty. It's the thought process that says, in what way should we be pretty? What should we be expressing? That is real branding work. That is where things work. So the kudos to this company for it's onedesigncompany.com. They did amazing work on this project. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. What did I click? All right, so let's talk about LinkedIn. I gotta click things and do things. Go to the right URL. Here we go. Okay, so here we are, LinkedIn. We're gonna go to their posts. We're gonna sort by most recent. Now, this is, again, as we've talked about before, whereas the corporate site and the career site, those were designed to within an inch of their lives, right? Those are gorgeous, pretty, precise, almost fragile things. No one's going in there and changing that copy every couple of weeks. No one's adding new stuff every couple of months. This is a design, a set it and forget it kind of thing, which, again, it's clean, it's gorgeous, it's very reinforcing of the brand. You don't need to change it very often. That said, there's not a lot of content in it. So as a candidate, you're saying, okay, if that's the frame, it's all about together. Okay, I'm listening. I'm going to go to LinkedIn to see more, to get more of that current, more in-depth, more pulse of what the company is thinking and feeling. So they come to the LinkedIn platform, and it turns out that this company is just celebrating its 5-year anniversary. And the most recent one, this is from yesterday, they recognize the anniversary by biking to all 5 locations. And there's this video. And I use the word video very loosely because it is just 5 photos with a subtle animation. There's no music, there's no audio, there's no one speaking. It's just pictures of people on bikes in front of their headquarters in 5 different locations. Okay, I see what they're trying to do. It's a missed opportunity. How do you make this more we? How do you make this more valuable? How do you make this more useful? Personally, I would have said, how do you take these photos, not in a landscape model, but in a portrait model, and turn them into a carousel so that I can kind of scroll through them as I see fit? When I see this, it starts with a big old white kind of arrow that says play me, right? And everybody loves a play button. Here's a quote I want to find. I happen to have it. Give me one second. This is from Michael Litt. The play button is the most compelling call to action on the web. When people see the play button, they want to click. And first off, if you can use that, please do. My challenge here is they've used that idea, maybe not intentionally, but they've used the power of the call to action of play, but they've not given me more information because of it. It's a bit of a bait and switch. It's about hey, you're about to watch this video of us biking to these 5 locations. No, you're not. You're about to see 5 static photos without audio, without anything else. And this company seems to really like making videos, but that kind of not a video. We need to make a name for it, an animated photo or something, I guess. Let's scroll down. Okay, not important. That's corporate stuff. 5 years, five perspectives from founding to future. Here is Molly Gibson, co-founder and chief strategy and innovation officer. Great, let's watch this video. There is no audio. It is just the text appearing. Now, as a viewer, first off, you made me wait 5 seconds to see the text. I don't understand that. It's not value add to me. This is not useful. Why not just make this as a visual card and plant it? Oh, you need more space? Make a square. LinkedIn has a lot more space that you can use. I know everybody says, if you look at LinkedIn post image sizes, they tell you that kind of landscape shape is what you're supposed to do. We all know squares and tall photos, they work. They show up. Use those kind of aspect ratios to tell the story you need to tell. Showing a video, leveraging that call to action play button and not giving me anything that feels like a video, again, it makes me, okay, that was a waste of my time. It's not going to gut their sense of what their brand is, but it's a missed opportunity. How can they make this content more accessible, more useful, more valuable? If they're going to do a visual, if they're going to do a video like this, make real video. Why not Molly Gibson talking? It doesn't have to be a talking head. It could be here, a series of photos, but her saying this quote as audio and kind of showing up as a closed caption, it'd be much more engaging. It would feel like a real video. I wouldn't feel like, oh, why did I bother clicking that button? Because that sense of why did I bother clicking that button is kind of endemic. Now, this is a real video, so that's fine. Here's a static image, which is exactly what you made. Again, I love the visuals. I think they're doing a great job. I just think they're overemphasizing this video. Here's another one. Here's another video that isn't a video. This is just the quote. And the only thing that's video-esque is that swirling background, which in fact makes the text harder to read. So I love what you're doing. You're just missing some minor changes, some minor structural visual content changes here on LinkedIn to kind of reinforce. I will say, yes, they're using we. Every company uses the we. Today, we announced an award. We announced this thing. You can always lean into more of that brand we, the editorial we. Not anything in particular that's calling out, but if you're going to land a brand and spend all that time and effort hiring another agency to really make that brand crystal clear on the website, thinking of how do you not just make the visual of the G or the black and whiteness, but the core brand message of together show up on LinkedIn. That's where the effort needs to happen next. Career site's gorgeous. Wouldn't change a thing. I mean, could I add more content? Sure, but I'm a content guy. I want to add content to everything. It's here on LinkedIn that I think they're not giving the brand ideals the same level of consideration and the same respect and the same spotlight as they are the visual brand. Now, if you come to this page because you heard it's an interesting company and you don't go to the career site first, this looks nice, but it's not setting that brand up. Using the brand the brand development is happening almost exclusively on the career site. And again, missed opportunity. It's great. It's great work. I gotta imagine that creative brief and that brand brief is chef's kiss, but it's just not showing up on LinkedIn. And this is where it needs to show up because this content has some legs, right? Some of these posts have 97 likes. Imagine the engagement. They've got 12,000 followers, which is not like a huge number for the however many people they have work here, but it's not a bad number. It's a pretty standard ratio of followers to actual employees. They're getting good engagement, but what are they engaging with? If someone engages with this piece of content, it's being shared to their network, you need to make sure the brand is there too. Otherwise, it doesn't sing. You're trying to create that pattern for everybody. So no matter where they come into the brand, they are understanding and seeing a crystal clear pattern. So to sum up, gorgeous, just gorgeous. So pretty. I love it. And the agency did a really good job. You can even see here visually, even when they add color, the color just jumps out at you. I'm not a big fan of Instagram for some of this stuff. I think it's not saying too much, but whatever. Everybody does it a little differently. That's totally fine. There's a million ways to do this work. But the visuals great, but the visual does a great job of expressing that core brand idea. The missed opportunity is that core brand idea is not showing up on social media channels. All right. I'm going to turn this off. That was our employer brand breakdown. Next week, we're doing dynamic aviation. It's a 600-person company. Super excited to kind of dive into that. Again, it was recommended by one of our watchers and one of my newsletter followers. So if you've got a company you'd like me to do an employer brand breakdown on, just ping me. Just let me know. I'd love to see what you want me to break down next. So with that, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time.